All right, so I finally have seen the One Piece live action on Netflix, and so has my guest today, Sai, and we're going to be
Hey,
talking about it. Yeah, hey, what's up, man? So,
hey, nothing much, man. How are you?
doing pretty good. Finally, we're going to be talking about this series, and let me just put it out there. I had no faith in this coming in at all. Like, I just already wrote it off, didn't think it was going to be good. Now that I've
I think
seen
that's
it,
very fair.
yeah, I mean, after seeing the trailer, I was like, no, I still don't think it's going to be that good.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bad live actions out there, so I feel like it's very reasonable to be cautious going into the series,
Yeah,
especially
especially
one as beloved as
with
One Piece.
One Piece and then Netflix. And, let's just put it out there. Also, thought it was great.
You liked it?
I liked it. The first episode, I wasn't completely won over. I was like, oh, it's
Yeah.
good. I was like, it's not terrible. It's not great. And then as it went on, I was like, you know what? This is not that bad. And then, it keeps going. And then you get to the Baratier. It's like, you know what? This is actually a pretty good show. It's not just fine. It's like, it's actually good now. And it did pretty much what I wanted. What I also said coming into this, I probably talked about this with you too, is that I wanted them to like do what the MCU does with the Marvel comics. Like just adapt them in like an accessible way for it to make sense, but also, pays homage to the original, but
Yeah.
actually improve the story as well, which I think it has. Like the way that it goes about chronologically.
Yeah, it's I like the changes they made. I love that Buggy is, he's kind of everywhere. He's in Arlong Park. He's at the Baratier. I love what they did with Arlong, where he actually feels like the ruler of the East Blue because he's swimming around island to island, going to Baratier, visiting Buggy too. Like, I love how close all the islands in the East Blue feel in the live action. I think that's definitely like a good change for the series. But yeah, I thought it was a good series overall. I do have a couple of complaints about the show, but nothing that just breaks ground. I think my favorite part about the whole series, though, is definitely the sets. You could tell how much time and effort they put into it. I think every single island in the show looks amazing. Like, I watched the videos where they were building the Baratier and building the Mary, building a couple of houses, and I was like, wow, that looks great. And then you see it in the live action, you're like, ooh, I'd want to live here. Like, there's a lot of things about the show that feel good. You could tell where the money went. But the one thing I wish this live action had is that I wish it had more episodes. I wish we had more time to flesh out the characters and flesh out these islands and the backstories, because since they're limited to 8 episodes, everything feels very fast paced in my opinion. Like,
Oh, yeah.
how do you feel about the pacing of the show?
Oh, it's super fast paced. The casual watching this who doesn't know anything about One Piece coming in, which is like a lot of the audience, I guess, watching this, they don't know that it's moving that fast, I guess, compared to the original. But I also understand why it has to be that way to make it flow better. And like they chopped off every bit of fat that they possibly could. And it is like aggressive, but I honestly don't mind it because it gets the point across and it just makes it, like I said, more accessible for the Netflix audience. Like it makes it more MCU like kind of, but I've even seen reviews, I forget which website it was, but they said that it actually did too much. It was paying too much homage to the original.
Oh, you're talking about the IGN review.
Yeah. And I was like,
No,
they
no,
were. I was like, whoa.
I saw that too. The IGN article gave it a 6 out of 10. And I think that whoever headed the article, not the writer, but whoever headed the article set him up for failure, because what he said was that the live action, it follows the manga too strictly to where we have to go through every major event. So essentially, it's like we will always have to recruit Zoro, right? We're always going to have to recruit Usopp. And he's kind of saying that's a downside because of the things they changed to get there. And I can kind of see what he means. Like, I'm kind of dumbing it down, but the best way to describe it is like Syrup Village. That's like the first thing in my mind. Like when they recruited Usopp in the anime, we had like, a good old 10 episodes to build up with him. We saw his skills firsthand. We saw his bravery. And it was kind of like a wholesome moment whenever they were like, hey, just, hop aboard the ship. But in the live action, Luffy says, hey, I need a great sharpshooter. You want to come with me? And then Usopp's like, yeah, sure. And then like 10 minutes later, when they hit the Baratier, Usopp's like, oh yeah, Luffy, yeah, this guy's gonna be king of the pirates. Like, it's such a fast-paced development. And not to mention the whole line where Luffy says you're a great sharpshooter, it kind of caught me off guard because as I was watching this, I just thought back and I was like, wait, Usopp didn't use his slingshot on anybody during Syrup Village. He actually used it on pots and pans in the kitchen, and he landed like 4 popcorn kernels in a pot, and that was it. I was like, that's the extent of Luffy seeing Usopp's sniping potential. So I can see how following the same major story beats can be kind of jarring when we're changing a lot of the build up to it. But all in all, like I think that's a very fair opinion to have. Like, I love the changes they made here, but I wish they changed some of the major events in regard to the Straw Hats as well. Because another interesting thing they did was up until the Baratier, like even until the Baratier, Nami was never even acting to be like part of the crew, right? She never once said she was a part of the crew. She was kind of just hanging around because she was like, oh, we're friends now. And then when we hit Kokoyashi Village, all of a sudden it's like, oh, Nami's our navigator. Nami is she's our crewmate. It's like, I don't know, man. She never actually said that. So it's kind of interesting how the live action will change some things but keep things the same. So it's kind of like a mixed bag. Some of it's for the better, some of it's for the worse, but overall, like I said, I still think it's a really enjoyable experience. And there's one thing in this live action that they kind of went wild with, and I want to see what your opinion is. What do you think about the Garp and Kobe stuff? Because they actually, you know, I think they're in a good chunk of the series. I think 25% of this entire live action is about Garp. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's pretty wild how much he's in it and how much Bogart's in it too. Like,
yeah, it's kind of like a meme, right?
Yeah, Bogart of all people, but I like it.
So I'm curious. I wish there were like behind the scenes notes to see what changes Oda would have wanted and what changes Netflix would have wanted that fell through the cracks. I think that'd be really interesting.
Yeah, I do wonder if we'll ever get that. Maybe in an SBS or something, but
yeah, and like an SBS, like about the OPLA.
I just feels like that's what Oda wanted. Just that specific aspect of it. Which I think is fine. It gave like an alternate story that they could cut to. I guess that's mainly why they had that there. But it also gave like connective tissue to things and gave other motivations, like Mihawk suddenly is now contracted by Garp, which is fine. But aside from the stuff that I was praising it, tonally, it's kind of all over the place. Like, it could be real serious and like dark. Like, there's like self-harm and there's like child abuse and stuff in this series. And they drop the F-bomb in the last episode. They constantly say the S word, you know, throughout it. And it's very adult, you know, like I said, very dark at times. But then it's kind of like Disney Channel G-rated at times too. Luffy, he just kind of comes across just kind of like from a different series kind of sometimes. He's like very like G-rated. He's like, I'm doing this for my friends and don't, you know, do that to my friends. And
believe in your dreams.
Yeah, my dreams. Don't you have a dream?
Yeah.
This is my dream. And then and then in the same episode, like somebody got their head cut off. You know what I mean? So maybe it's like a new type of direction that shows are going in. Maybe that's why this is like accepted, because it goes to so many different places.
They got something for everyone.
It's kind of like pro wrestling.
Yeah, like this, it works in an anime and manga format because you don't really think about it, right? But when you see like a real person saying the lines that Luffy would say, like, oh, this is my dream, these are my friends, don't. I think there was one part where it kind of made me bust up laughing. Anaki Godoy's Luffy kind of like stared at the camera and he says, don't hurt my friends. I was like, oh no. Like, you know, watching this with somebody else, it was kind of like, I got like secondhand embarrassment almost, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Also, like Shanks staring down the Sea King, which they're calling Sea Beasts, I guess. And he's like, get lost. And it was just, man, it kind of fell flat to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. Live actions will always have that. You can never make an anime character feel realistic without them being a little bit cringy. You know, it comes with the territory.
Yeah, for sure. I accept it.
I love and hate that they stayed so true to how some characters look because, you know, in like I said, in anime format, some of those like hair colors, the wacky designs, it makes sense. But when you see a real person actually wearing those clothes and that hair color, that wig, it's like, oh man, I don't know. Like I feel like I just like laugh at them or something if I saw them across the street.
Oh yeah, for sure. In this world, absolutely, and even in that world, it kind of doesn't make sense because you could see like the roots of Zoro and Nami's hair. Like it's originally dark hair, which implies that they're like coloring.
Like they dyed it.
They're dyeing it, but they're not. It's the implication is that it's like their natural hair color. So yeah, it's just in that world, there's some people are born with like highlighter green hair and highlighter orange hair.
This is another one of those shows where you can pick out who the main characters are. Because
yeah,
I forgot what it was. They were at Kokoyashi Village. All of the villagers were dressed in like muted brown colors, like little bathrobes, like some wool they found on the floor. They put it on, and then you got like Luffy, Nami, Zoro, Usopp, and forgot her name now, Nojiko with the blue hair, and they're all just walking up, and I'm like, man, I wonder who the main characters are. Oh yeah, it's just that anime thing,
Now that you pointed out, it is like playing a video game almost, kind of like they're all just NPCs and like we're the actual players of the game.
So out of the Straw Hats though, who are your favorites?
So it's really interesting because like I don't like Sanji in the actual series, but in the Netflix series, I think he's great.
He's like, so good, yeah.
He makes Sanji too likable. Like you're not supposed to like Sanji that much. He's supposed to come off as a little creepy and like dweeby, but like this Sanji isn't. So like Nami rejecting him or just any woman rejecting him.
Yeah, that was strange.
Doesn't make as much sense as it does in the anime because like he's charming in the show.
Yeah, so in the show, when they're at the Baratier, so Sanji starts hitting on Nami a little bit, right? Like about the food and what she would want. And then Nami like completely gives him the cold shoulder. And I thought that was really weird because one, in the anime, obviously Nami flirts back with him a little bit to get the free food. But also in the live action, just 2 episodes before that, she was flirting with like 3 different guys just to, get something out of them. So it's like, dang, that's crazy. She gave them like the time of day to meme on them, but she couldn't do that to Sanji. But yeah, no, I agree though. Sanji, he's amazing in the live action. I think Sanji and Zoro are the strongest Straw Hats. Not like power wise, but like portrayal wise. I love what they did with them. Zoro's so cool.
Yeah, I agree. I'm curious to see like what happens as they get older because it's obviously getting a season 2 for sure, and I'm looking forward to it because they're definitely going to cover up to Alabasta in that. So
you think so? That's a lot.
I think they'll get an increase to like 10 episodes.
Okay.
Like they might even skip Little Garden or just make a montage out of it or something.
Yeah. They just have so much to cover. Like they still have Logtown, they have Reverse Mountain with Crocus and Laboon, and then they have Little Garden, Whiskey Peak, Drum Island. Like that's like 5 or 6 different places before we even get to Alabasta. And then Alabasta is like a whole on 40 episode trek.
Well,
like that one's that's like season 3 maybe.
Unless
they do what you said where they mash it up.
Oh, I think they will. Like everything that happens before that, I think it happened in 4 or 5 episodes, and then Alabasta itself can be 5 episodes.
All right, yeah, okay.
I mean, that's how fast they go.
Yeah, you're right. They are going fast. I started this video off by saying that, hey, they're going really fast. I could see it. Maybe we see Chopper. We just throw some some bait on the side, and he'll just join the crew.
Yeah, I want to see
they're gonna switch it up a little bit.
Super cute CGI Chopper.
That's gonna be such a hard one to do. CGI Chopper. Because he has lines and everything. It's like Detective Pikachu, right?
I think
they're gonna have to do something like that.
Yeah, that
costs a lot.
Well, I mean, they got this much just to have season 1 when they didn't know
right,
it was gonna be successful.
Each episode is $17 million.
So the last thing that I wanted to talk about was I think Garp's wearing Air Forces.
Oh yeah, some of them got like some cool like Nikes on in the show. Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, man, these guys better play some tennis, bro. It's like a good fever dream, right? Like there's a lot of parts to this show that I really enjoyed, but there's some parts that I think they could have taken more time with, but they got that episode like limit though. Like I think initially they wanted to go for 10 episodes, and that's what they were slated as when they were first listed on Netflix, and then they cut down to 8. So I'm really curious what those 2 extra episodes would have been like. I wonder if they'll ever comment about that.
Oh, I'm sure they will. Considering how successful it is, I'm sure they're going to have like a whole bunch of extra bonus content.
Yeah, like a Blu-ray edition.
Yeah.
Cut episodes, cut content, cut scenes.
Well, whatever the online equivalent of the Blu-ray bundle is.
Yeah, because now that I think about it, I was watching the not interviews, I was watching the reactions from the Straw Hat crew when like they're watching their own show or like certain scenes. And I think it was Emily Rudd who in one of them said, "Oh, that scene made it in." So it sounds like there is a lot of cut content out there. They filmed a lot more than what's probably in the show.
Wow.
Like who knows? Like I said earlier, I was like, "Oh yeah, you know, we didn't really see Usopp slinging too much of that shot. Maybe in the cut content, this dude's over here like, you know, sniping down 50 people in Kaya's mansion. I have no clue."
They thought it made him look too good.
Yeah, they thought it made him look too good. Oh yeah, and then Luffy's CGI. You know, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, yeah. I wasn't,
You know,
thrown off by it.
some parts are a little bit spotty, like the balloon while Garp was throwing cannonballs. I thought that looked kind of silly. But other than that, like Luffy's elasticity, pretty well done. But also, I didn't realize how weak Luffy's ability would look in live action. Like in the anime, you know, it goes kind of hard, right? Like Oda puts that shading in that fist. But in the live action, it's like, man, it's like being hit with a slinky. Like I you know, I definitely couldn't. But since Luffy's over here punching through pillars with his bare fists, but just looking at that elasticity, I feel like I could tank a couple of blows. You know?
Tank them?
Yeah, like I said, it's like it looks like it's actually being hit with rubber. Like imagine like a fleshlight, like somebody just slaps you with that. It's like, you know, you know what I mean?
Smart.
Yeah, it was smart, but like it wouldn't knock you out. Like that's just what it looks like. It's like they're just stretching it. I'm like, like Arlong, for example. Like Arlong's this big bad guy, you know, over here like tossing houses upside down, and then you got like Mr. Slinky over here beating him up. It's like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they make like hockey battles look like.
Do you think they're gonna get that far?
Probably not.
I think at the very most, I think they'll make it to Alabasta and that's it. I genuinely can't imagine them going farther than that. That would be insane if they get to Skypiea or even like Enies Lobby. I'd genuinely be shocked. And also that would take a long time considering that the One Piece live action was announced back in like 2016.
Wow, was it? Wow, I guess it was that long ago.
Yeah, they've been in production a lot. They're not as long, but yeah, this was announced back in 2016. And we just got it like 2023. So it's it's a long time in the making. And hopefully, I mean, I bet if there is a season 2, it won't take that long. But either way, these guys are going to get older and older, you know, like time waits for no one. So I'm curious to see how they'll do it or even if they will do it, considering Oda, you know, Oda wants to end off the One Piece manga in a couple of years. And then after that, he wants to just straight retire. So if he wants to stay as hands-on as he was in season 1, that's going to be a little bit rough.
Yeah, they should just do recasting.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I wouldn't mind that. Recasting the Straw Hat season 2.
Yeah, or season 3, you know, whenever their time is up.
Yeah, who would you want to recast out of the Straw Hats?
Probably Luffy.
I'm on the same boat. Yeah, I think Luffy's the one who I'd recast. I'm sorry, Inaki Godoy. I just, you know, Sanji, Zoro, Usopp, Nami, like they're all so powerful. Good portrayals.
Yeah. But
someone has to be at the bottom.
But I guess that's pretty much it for this one. We both enjoyed it. We didn't think it was perfect, but it far exceeded our expectations.
Yep.